On a hot Florida evening, 29 cars sit at the ready as Pirelli GT4 America roars into Sebring for the third stop on the 2026 calendar. Hello, welcome to Sebring International Raceway. It's a pleasure to have your company. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside, and Amanda Busick is down in the pits. This is the next stop on the calendar, but it's already been a busy year. The last time out in Texas, none other than Marcus Ericsson got the festivities underway. It was the Lone Star Enduro, the only 3-hour endurance test on the calendar. Weston Workman led the field to green. Francis Seldorf challenging in the early stages. It was a clean start at the front of the field, but a few laps in, trouble struck one of the pace-setting cars in the AM class. Alex Garcia pulled off to the side of the road in his BMW with mechanical issues. That cost them dearly in the points. It also brought out a full course yellow. Battles were fierce, though, once the racing got back underway once again. Weston Workman, Tyler Gonzalez at the front for Opera Racing, as they've been all season long. Challenges in the Pro-Am class. RS1 up against Auto Technic. In that case, it was the Porsche team that came out on top. Pit stops and strategy crucial in the 3-hour race. The RS1 team with its driver change complete, since Spencer Pumpelly out for the finish. Then, on his hot lap, he was able to run up right behind Kevin Boehm in the Auto Technic BMW, which for the moment held on to the position, but it was a fierce battle, the two swapping positions back and forth. This, though, changed everything. Full course yellow came out late in the going, led to a late race restart, which bunched the field all together and set the stage for the fireworks on the run to the checkered flag. Kenton Cook making his way to the lead in the Pro-Am class, but this contact here, Kevin Boehm, forceful around Spencer Pumpelly, that drew the ire of the stewards. It also caught out Mark Miller in the Dome Mercedes. They were a retirement from the front of the field, but a penalty handed down to Kevin Boehm. At the front, Kenton Cook took the win overall, and on the road, it was Boehm, but penalized post-race. That's still under protest, but it did, at the time at least, promote RS1 to the win. It was an exciting 3 hours of racing. These are the points as they stand, but again, that race still under protest as Auto Technic filed an official appeal, so that is still to be worked out. But the penalty dropped Kevin Boehm and Francis Seldorf down to 5th in the race. That cost them dearly in points, and so if it's not overturned, this is the way that the points look in the silver class coming into 2 races here at Sebring International Raceway. Meanwhile, a little more straightforward in Pro-Am, where Kenton Cook and Sam Craven have been awfully strong. They hold a 2-point edge over Matthias Laiston, Matt Travis, Demir Hott, and Ryan Yardley are third. And in AM, it really narrowed up after a difficult 3-hour race for Denny Stripling and Judson Holt. Just a 6-point lead now over James Clay and James Walker Jr. And Frankie Muniz and Tyler Stone sit in a strong third position. Still a long way to go in the season, Calvin, but yeah, we're already counting those points because we know the teams are too.
Well, I think Coda is such a pivotal race in the championship season with the 3-hour, the only enduro race that we have, and the double points, and we saw some fireworks there, as you said, still to be sorted out in terms of the protests and the appeals that are going on. But now we reset here at Sebring. But what a challenge this racetrack is, particularly the heat that we're seeing here this weekend. Super, super hot right now for the start of this race, mid-90s. But when you talk about this racetrack, it's respect the bumps. And certainly this weekend we're seeing some teams and drivers really experiencing that. Turn 1 is a challenge, but this is turn 17. This is coming off that victory at Coda. James Clay, like riding a Bronco there through turn 17. Just an amazing ride. If you get it wrong, you get outside of the normal racing line, you're in landscape and territory that you may not have ever seen before. It's a crazy ride through there.
It makes this a really special place, no doubt about it. But first and foremost, respect those bumps, and maybe then you could come out with a victory at Sebring. Down on the grid is the third member of the team. That is, of course, Amanda Busick.
Hey guys, yeah, you'll see a crowded grid behind me as we get ready for race number 1 here at Sebring for Pirelli GT4 America, coming off of that 3-hour race in Austin, Texas, as we just saw the highlights for. But what I love pointing out in this series with the parity when it comes to balance of performance, right here in the front 3 rows, 5 different manufacturers. And as we move up to the front row, you're going to see the battle between 2 silver classes, 2 silver race cars in class, Weston Workman and Tyler Gonzalez. Spencer from Pele has his helmet on, and I'm going to come over to Luca Mars. Man, you guys are looking quick here this weekend. I want to go back to Coda. When did you guys realize it was you getting those 50 points?
A little bit after the race ended, I think. We saw the update, and we're obviously pretty happy about that. Huge for the championship and whatnot, and gave us some momentum coming here. And obviously, the RS1 guys worked really hard that weekend, so to be able to come back, see that 50 points get rewarded to us, it was a pretty good feeling.
I was walking up the grid with Spencer, and he said that he's super impressed with you and that you're holding him accountable out here. What's those like for you?
I think both of us are just pushing each other to be the best we can. But the RS1 guys has been really good this weekend with the car set up, and we've been really happy with it. So obviously qualifying went really good for both of us. So we're just going to go out there for the race, work to our best of our ability, and see if we can get the win.
A different format here this weekend, back to the 2 races, but the heat is kind of similar to Austin. How are you guys handling it so far?
Yeah, unfortunately the Porsche doesn't really like the heat as much, so I'm hoping this cloud coverage kind of blocks the sun because it gets really hot in this car, and the car starts to run a little bit worse when it gets hot. But we've had a fast car so far, so I think it'll be like that for the race, and we'll see what we can do.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Interesting comments there from Luca Mars, the Pennsylvanian. Really impressive what he's done over the last couple of years. A couple different GT4 championships, one each in 2024, and then again one in 2025 over at IMSA. Now very much gunning for a championship here in GT4 America, but I thought those comments were quite telling. Not all the brands handle the heat the same way.
No, typically it's the BMWs that come to the forefront, so we didn't see it so much in qualifying. They're not sitting on the front row, certainly, but they're in the mix, and we'll have to wait and see as you get a long green flag run going here, what then develops in terms of the cars and the thresholds that they have and the parameters they have to work with. So could be a different story here come race time.
We heard from the pole-sitting car in silver. What about the pole-sitters in Pro-Am, Amanda?
Yeah, and standing by with Mark Miller, and I was making my notes on the way into Sebring, and I hope you don't mind what I wrote down, but I said plagued this year. I don't feel like the story has really been told for you guys, but here on pole and Pro-Am, did you light any sage heading into the weekend?
Oh, my wife actually does a little Reiki, so I had a little Reiki session. So for the whole team, so this is Alan's 3rd pole in a row. I mean, we're got a fast car. The Dome Motorsport guys really put a good AMG GT4 underneath us, and we're always at the front. It's just how long can we stay there without contact is the issue. It's been pretty rough this year, but in the drivers' meeting today, it was very clear that we're not going to stand for this anymore, and we hope that we have a good, clean race and a full hour of fun, and everyone leaves without a bunch of parts laying by the trailer, and everyone finishes. So I think that's a goal for everyone. But we'd love to actually show what our end of the race pace will be. And Alan's going to hopefully bring it home for us into the pits in a good position, and I can finish off from there.
I had a driver earlier today tell me that Sebring is like being on a trampoline that's 150 degrees. How do you describe it?
The trampoline thing is a really good one, except with your friends that are trying to jump and time it just perfect to launch you off. So I think the track overall is one of my favorite tracks. It's flat. It's unassuming in every way. There's not a lot of fanfare around the track, but here it's just magical. The bumps are where they should be. It hasn't changed. It's consistent. It changes throughout the day, and it always changes in the same way. So these clouds, good for our car. We'll take them for the rest of the day.
Thank you, Mark. And yeah, good point. There is some cloud coverage down here at present, guys. Hopefully it'll stick around.
That team has been snake-bitten. Plagued, I think, is exactly right, Amanda. Through 3 races, they failed to finish twice, and they were taken out in both of those races. Meanwhile, further back, a little bit further back in the field, see that message from the Advanced Motorsport team. Many special messages being conveyed by the various teams throughout the grid. But for the Dome team, going back to Mark Miller, of course, that's typically a 2-car team, but down to just 1 here this weekend. They had some engine issues in the AM class entry, and it won't take further part in the weekend.
That's a shame because that car's had some really strong performances this year and potentially could have been right in the thick of the championship, so they'll not see the green flag here today and the rest of the weekend. But to his point, Patton's been on fire in terms of qualifying. Third pole is really strong stuff from that group, and they just need a break. They just need a good, clean race.
Yep, exactly so. That's what they'll be hoping for. Have a good starting position, not just on the class pole, but also 5th overall, very much in the mix. Should mention that all 3 class pole sitters are within the top 10 overall. Michael Garcia, they need a bounce back too after the mechanical issue took them out early in the race in Austin, Texas, the last time out. So they're off to a good start, certainly doing that by taking the class pole here today. Again, a look at the class pole sitters. Heard from 2 of the group, and there are the brothers Garcia, who start 10th overall and leaders in their class. 29 cars in all set to roll off for this, the 4th race of the season and the return to the 1-hour sprint format. Have a second race coming your way in the morning as well. Busy weekend, and even though this is being run relatively late in the day, it's still in high heat. Temperatures up over 90 degrees Fahrenheit and high humidity in the air as well, although that has gotten a little bit better as we get closer to the evening hours here in Sebring, Florida. Good-looking grid of cars, again, headed by Spencer Pumpelly, the overall pole sitter. Weston Workman was one-upped, really for the first time all season long. He'll have to settle for second on the starting grid.
It's going to be tight and interesting. Kevin Boehm, who had the argy-bargy with Spencer at Coda, lines up right behind Spencer on the grid. So let's see if that battle resumes here at the drop of the green.
Here's the starting grid for today. Pumpelly and Workman sharing row number 1, a Porsche and a Supra. Then on row 2, Kevin Boehm looking for some redemption after the way the Lone Star Enduro played out. He'll have Austin Jers returning to the championship. They weren't at Coda. New co-driver for him this weekend. More on that as we go. Then to the 3rd row, the Pro-Am pole sitter is Alan Patton for Dome Motorsports. Heard from his co-driver Mark Miller earlier. Jimmy G. Bray will start 6th overall for ACI. Bruno Colombo for Random Vandals Racing. Good effort for him. He'll start 7th next to his teammate Sam Craven. Then it's Matt Travis once again in the championship fight in Pro-Am, and the pole sitter in Am, Michael Garcia. Zachary Lee, McCumbee McAleer Racing, missed some time in one of the practices earlier this weekend, has Lonnie Unser for company in row number 6. Then row 7, Chris Spada for the Rafa Racing team, and James Walker Jr. off the strong run in Austin. Tony Gaples for Black Dog Racing in their McLaren starts 15th overall, next to Judson Holt, contenders in the AM class. Carl Foreman for Precision Racing LA, and Demir Hott make up row number 9. In the 10th row, Michael Petramalo in the Vimmer World BMW, and Anthony Girazzi for the Rafa Racing team. Roland Crines for Auto Technic will start in row 11 next to Tyler Stone for Tech Sport in their Mustang. Then it's Joseph Catania and Eric Hoffman back in row number 12. To the 13th row, Tom Kopczynski for Kelly Moss, and Lawrence Tomlinson making his return to Sebring for the first time in decades. Zach Lumsden, Colorado Motorsports by Flying Lizard, next to Ross Poole back on row 14, and Kevin Clifford from Off Leash Motorsports. They've had some mechanical gremlins this weekend and will have to come from the back of the pack. Easier said than done, Cal, when you talk about a field as strong as this one.
Yeah, it really is. It's a really tough field. We've got 3 excellent classes. They're all stacked this year. No wins or podiums are coming easy, as we saw at Coda, and everyone's getting ready to resume this championship battle here.
Here's the field coming into alignment down the long Holman Straight. This is the run from turn 16 to turn 17, better known as Sunset Bend, and we're late enough in the day where that might play a factor.
Yeah, a little bit. By the time we get close to the checkered flag, it should start to drop in the sky there. Makes it really difficult to see the marks on what is already an incredibly difficult corner, turn 17, the one the field is going through right now.
Here they come under the Mission Bridge with Spencer Pumpelly now at the controls. That's the RS1 Porsche Cayman. Screen left, he has Weston Workman alongside on the front row. What a great season it's been for Weston. His first season racing at the GT4 level. He'll go up against one of the best in Spencer Pumpelly as the green flag waves at Sebring International Raceway. And on the break, Spencer Pumpelly gets a really good getaway. Workman immediately slots in line just behind Kevin Boehm in 3rd. The battle, though, is for 4th. With Jers in the McLaren, forced out a little bit wide. Alan Patton looking to mix his way up through the field.
Oh, it's really close there with Colombo there. You can see him in the green and white Random Vandals BMW try and make the move on Patton, but Patton takes over the line and slots in nicely as they go through turn 4.
And just ahead of Jimmy Gibre in the white and green Porsche from ACI. Bruno Colombo quickly on the move as well. That's one of the BMWs from Random Vandals that started 7th overall. Here comes the field on the run down to the hairpin for the first time. Pumpelly forced to go on the defensive slightly, covers off any potential move from Weston Workman. Single file through the most of the top 10 as we go through the hairpin for the first time.
Really nice job by our upholsterer there, Spencer Pumpelly. I believe he feels he needs that fresh, clean air on the nose of that Porsche to keep the temperatures under control. So I'm sure he was really forceful there in terms of, I got the pole, I've done the job in qualifying, let's make it stick through the first couple of corners.
From a 3-hour endurance test the last time out at COTA, now a pair of 60-minute sprint races, the typical format for Pirelli GT4 America. Only a couple of weeks in between the two races. Takes a big reset in terms of strategy, in terms of mindset, getting back into that sprint race mentality.
It really does. You just got one stop here today, so you need to get right as there's a car off and back on the road there coming through turn 13. That's Tower.
And that's Garcia, the leader in the AM class, and he has just one car between himself and James Walker Jr., his closest pursuer for AM class honors. Here's the field through this serpentine section of the track. This is that crucial turn 16. Need to get a good run out of here or else you're vulnerable in turn 17.
Absolutely, you got a good flow, good minimum speed there through the middle of that corner. Otherwise, drivers are going to try and pounce there. Good little drafting battle going on there with Patton trying to get defensive as they get down into that brake zone.
Gibre looking around the outside in the Porsche. Leaves the door open to the inside, and Bruno Colombo fills the gap. That is for 6th position. And here comes Sam Craven. He wants into the mix as well.
Yeah, that was really nicely done there by Colombo, and that opened up for his teammate to follow him through as well. That's important for that team. They lead the championship right now in Pro-Am, the 94 car of Craven and Kenton Cook.
And the Colombo pass was for silver class position as well. Here's Matt Travis, leader, make that 3rd place in Pro-Am. Very much in the championship fight, but he's vulnerable at the moment as Michael Garcia takes a peek to the inside. Travis kept the door open. Meanwhile, we have a pass through the pits. This is the number 19 from Auto Technic, and it's not just a pass through the pits, Cal. They're stopping.
Yeah, into the pit box here, so I think they may have cut down a right rear tire. They're going to that right rear corner, give it some attention. Pretty easy to stay on the lead lap here. It's a long lap here at Sebring, but nonetheless, they need help with the caution and the compression of this field.
And that's Roland Crines, who took the car into the pits. This is his only race this weekend. He's gotten a jet off pretty much as soon as this race sees the checkered flag. His son Gerard is graduating this weekend, so he's got to hustle home, and it will be Stuart McAleer, brother of Stephen McAleer, Roland's typical co-driver, who will slot in for race 2 tomorrow, giving the brothers a rare opportunity to race alongside each other.
Up front, Pumpelly really controlling things nicely, established almost the 2nd gap now on Western Workman. Kevin Bohm right in his wheel tracks. Jers has dropped back a little bit and fighting some cars behind him. Patton sits there in P5, still leading in Pro-Am. Colombo, after that lovely maneuver down into 17, is now 5th in the silver class.
Comes Pumpelly leading this charge. Workman doing his best to keep pace, but Bohm is starting to look a little bit threatening. Closing in now on that Rafa Toyota Supra. Down the Oldman Straight they go one more time. Top 3 certainly separating themselves from Jers, like you pointed out.
They really are. They seem to have separated themselves, and Kevin Bowman just sitting there in the wheel tracks of Workman trying to think about, can he make a move? Got nowhere to go with it. Now he tucks to the inside. That was beautifully done by Kevin Bohm. Looked like Weston Workman could just not get his car to carve the corner, and Bohm was through in a flash. Now he's got his sights set as the other Rafa cars having issues here.
Oh no, this is the 812. This is the car that was started by Chris Spada. Shares it with Werner Neugebauer, and that car is
14, 15, is it?
This track is known to be a car breaker. That's why the auto manufacturers come and go testing here. Top-level prototype teams come and do long endurance tests here. Of course, the 12-hour race, known to be as strenuous as a 24-hour race just about anywhere else, and maybe that reputation being earned once again.
Yeah, and these temperatures are just so extreme. The temperatures just ramp up all afternoon long, hit a peak right about now. We're in the mid-90s ambient, track temp about 115. Just extraordinary conditions for these cars to try and survive in.
Drivers as well, you think about it, all right, a stint is probably maximum, what, about 35 minutes, but that's still a long time to be sitting in one of these hot cockpits. And we go full course yellow. This is great news, by the way, for Roland Crines. Amanda reporting it was just a punctured tire, so they were able to stay on the lead lap. This brings them back into the fight, condensing the field once again. Here's that car that had the puncture in the early laps.
Yep. That's what they needed. Need a bit of a break. Got to get back with the pack, and then they've got to go to work. You know, Steve Magler is going to be chomping at the bit now for an opportunity, realizing that they're back in the game a little bit.
Absolutely what he wanted to see. And this is early. This is not in the window, so you would have to believe this is a problem here for Judson Holt. Why was he coming through the pit lane? Well, that's curious. Holt joining up with Random Vandals for the 2026 season. New team for them. Had a great start to the year at Sonoma, but no luck at all in Austin. All right, here's the car in question. This is down at turn 7. Behind, though, Tom Kopczynski making contact with the LAP Mustang. That's Lawrence Tomlinson, I believe. Dad and lad here for a weekend of racing at Sebring. Freddie will join him, running the second stint in race number 1.
The only thing I can think is, talking to a couple of the teams, if you do get the temperatures too high, it's early in this race, I would think for that to be happening right now, but they said basically you got to do a total reset, so I'm not sure if the Holt car was on pit lane to do something there.
Amanda reports no drive through the rear wheels. It's the only place you'd get drive, of course, on a GT4 car, so that's not good, to say the least. Captain Obvious makes his appearance on the broadcast here. 52.5 minutes to go under our first full course yellow, presumably. Oh, and I'm sorry, that was actually for the Rafa car, not for Holt.
Right.
My apologies. With the no drive. So still mystery as to what happened to Judson. But gives us and everyone else a chance to quickly catch our breath here before we restart the race here imminently. Looks like the incident, by the way, Kopczynski and Tomlinson, that is under review from race control. We got a fleeting look at it, Calvin. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it's close, right? I mean, it's just one of those corners where you're funneling down to the apex, and there's a slight brush there. I don't think there was anything too untoward, but certainly there was some action as we now see the 812 being pulled out of harm's way. Obviously some kind of driveline issue with that Rafa racing machine. But it's just one of those pinch points. It's one of the prime overtaking opportunities right down into this corner, turn 7. Really low speed, minimum speed there, about 40 miles an hour as Gonzalez looks on. Here's the car with Western Workman. So that was kind of weird in 17 where he just kind of opened up that inside lane and Kevin just easily took it. So not sure if he got into the ABS suddenly and just washed out the front end, and Kevin was there and able to pounce. He's right on his tail there, obviously, as you could see. He almost drove over the top of him going into the corner, and just suddenly the seas parted and he drove through. And
now, as we get ready for the restart, lights off on the safety car, he is right behind the car that he sparred with at the end of that 3-hour race at COTA a couple of weeks ago, an incident that is still being reviewed under protest, as I mentioned at the top of the show.
Yeah, and Kevin's had to take it on the chin. Yeah, obviously the protest is still ongoing, so there's not been an official result from that, so it could get overturned, I guess, but he just feels that he was not in the wrong there, and he firmly believes that it's time to reset and go racing this weekend and deal with that later. But yeah, he's definitely feeling that that was not, the penalty was unjustified. He just felt it was a racing incident. Spencer opened up the door and then closed it on him, but obviously everyone involved has a different version of events.
All right, let's go down to the pits briefly, and Amanda.
Catching up with Denny Striplin, and what brought the BMW to pit road?
Yeah, it looked like Judson was out there, had a good first lap, got side by side and got pushed up on the turn 3 curb. It popped the tire. Tire was a little too low for pressure. We purposely stay off curbs. Sometimes we don't have a choice, and so we had to change the right front tire. So sitting back out there, we had the benefit of a full course yellow that was timed appropriately for us. So get back to the back of the pack and see what we can do.
Thank you. Here we go.
Thank you.
Well, good news for them, able to catch back up. That yellow came at a great time, and looking to put that disappointment of a DNF at Coda behind them and get back to the winning ways after sweeping the first 2 races of the season. Here comes the field into the restart zone. Pirelli is on it, but so too is Bohm. So too is Workman. There's the green flag. Weston Workman closing in on Kevin Bohm, trying to grab the 2nd spot back after losing it a couple of laps ago. Jers, meanwhile, under pressure from Patton, who took a peek to the inside, down into turn number 1. That's the battle coming through the shot now, and it looks like Patton is through, and he's bringing some friends along for the ride.
Yeah, big action there for P4 right now. Up front is really tight as well. Great restart there for Kevin Bohm, keeping the pressure on. Patton has to give it up there. Colombo makes that move.
Yeah, Colombo, the big winner there, up 2 spots on the restart. Sits now in 5th overall, and he's caught up to the rest of the front runners in his class. Meanwhile, it's not over yet for Patton, coming under more pressure. This time I think it's Sam Craven in the Random Vandals car right there, orange and deep blue closing in. Meanwhile, a penalty has been issued, and it's going the way of Lawrence Tomlinson for the contact that we saw down into turn 7 just before the yellow.
Yeah, and I think that maybe go hand in hand about what we heard in the drivers' meeting. Mark Miller said that the gauntlet had been laid down by the race director and the series, like, we need to clean this up a little bit, and I think they're making a mark early in this race.
That will cost him, what is it, about 39 seconds, the drive-through time, more or less?
Yeah, 39 seconds transition, so probably delta about 25, I would guess, in terms of the difference, how much you're losing to the car staying on the racetrack.
Team will need another yellow to bring them back into the conversation. 48 minutes to go. Pirelli leads Bohm, Workman down to 3rd, and Colombo, the big mover here, actually up to 4th. I gave him 1 spot short of what he actually deserved. What a great restart for Bruno, who's still very new to racing at this level. His first race ever on a real racing slick was the season opener at Sonoma. Does have seat time in this car, but on DOT tires in lower level endurance series.
Yeah, really strong combination with he and Josh Green. They've had a couple of podiums already this year, sit 3rd in the points right now, so it's a really solid start for them this afternoon.
Alan Patton continues to lead in Pro-Am, but now he's got company within his class. That's Sam Craven way up in the air, up and over the bump, and that might have bailed Patton out a little bit. Looked like Craven was looking threatening until he caught the bump wrong.
Yeah, it really seems like those BMWs can really carve that corner a lot tighter than some of the other manufacturers out there. We saw that with Kevin Bohm when he made the move on Workman earlier in this race.
Just behind them, Jimmy Gibre scrapping with Austin Jers, young 18-year-old, co-owner of this McLaren team with his father. Missed the round at Coda, but they were really quick, weren't they, at Sonoma? Had some gremlins that prevented them from getting the results perhaps that they deserve, but Austin qualified well, runs 8th overall, 6th in class.
Things starting to settle down here a little bit. More gaps being developed. You see Patton there really working the steering wheel on the brakes there. It's a little bit bumpy down in that brake zone. Sometimes you see the cars move to the middle of the road to get a little bit smoother brake zone, but obviously you're compromising the line a little bit by doing that.
Allen's up on the wheel. That is his style. Currently leading in the Pro-Am class, but with 2nd place Sam Craven right behind him, and this is a difficult spot to be in. He has 2 Random Vandals cars, 1 on either side. Right now it looks like he's got the pace relative to Bruno Colombo. Is there something wrong with that BMW? He's really slowed down dramatically. Oh, now he drops a wheel.
Oh, that was close to losing it. Wow, nice catch there, but it's going to give Patton the run, and Craven may go with him.
Patton definitely gets through. Colombo won't want to hold up his teammate if that can be helped. Keeps it out nice and wide, and yeah, lets the teammate fight on through, knowing that that's a battle for the class lead, and he got a great run through turn 16. Did he keep the foot in it, or did he lose some momentum there? We'll soon find out, but for the moment, Sam Craven is closing in on Alan Patton.
Yeah, he really had a great run there. I think he had to crack the throttle a little bit, otherwise he's going to run over the top of Patton there, so it may have lost him any momentum that he had achieved there through the first part of the corner. It looks like Colombo has regrouped here a little bit and staying with his teammate.
Colombo 3rd in line here with the 5th best time in Sector 2. Pirelli, the race leader, has the best Sector 2 time, and by a hefty margin. Pretty close behind him, thanks to Race Vision powered by AWS for that. Quarter of the way through this race already. It's Patton holding on to the lead in Pro-Am with Sam Craven heaping the pressure on, and looking increasingly strong compared to the class leader.
Yeah, Patton there seemed to really just come out in the middle of the road, so he is feeling the heat right now. He's kind of getting swamped here by these BMWs right behind him, and he's not quite sure where to place the race car to be ideal in terms of holding on that track position.
Similarly, I don't quite know if Colombo knows where to place his car either. Do you pass your teammate here? Do you risk holding them up? He's got a car for position just behind him in the McLaren.
Yeah, it's a tricky dynamic when you got teammates and you're not running in the same class, and you can't afford to risk taking someone out, particularly when we're talking about a championship leader there in Sam Craven, who's done a really nice job at the beginning of this race. Didn't qualify that great, but certainly had a really strong run so far, moved up 3 positions in the race so far.
Now Patton now with a little bit of breathing room behind Jimmy G. Bray, starting to put some pressure on Austin Jers once again. That position changed hands on the restart. On board now with G. Bray as he sits right behind the McLaren.
Turn 13, tower corner, really tricky approach there, really easy to get up on that left-hand curb on entry. That'll just drag you off the racetrack, and you really got to be aware of that big curb on the exit, not dropping the left sides.
G-Bray from the Dominican, 2022 Porsche Sprint Challenge North America 991 class champion. Meanwhile, problems for the third-placed car in Pro-Am points coming in. Amanda, what can you tell us?
Yeah, they were also the third-place car at COTA, which is sad to see. This 25 of ACI Motorsports, Amir Hot, here on pit lane, told that they were checking a wheel speed sensor potentially. The team told the crew over the wall to check the rear tires first. Hopefully they can get this Porsche back on track.
The wheel speed sensor now in one of these modern GT cars, so much is driven by the data that those sensors derive.
Yeah, absolutely. So affects the ABS systems and everything else. Certainly if coming down pit lane as well, you got to be aware of that, because that can catch you out as well.
Looking back in the pack at Travis, 9th overall, has the AM class leader right behind him. Travis in the familiar NOLA Sport colors, black on the hood with the highlighter yellow accents, white on the side. Garcia behind in the primarily red with some black BMW.
Just a rock solid start to the year. Big win at Sonoma, then followed that with a P4, and then a nice runner-up finish, double-point weekend at COTA. So sits second in points right now, only 3 points back of the championship leaders coming in.
And Travis and Mateus Laced, ex-IndyCar driver who has turned into a good little GT4 driver over the last few years. Popped back on the racing scene a few years ago after the IndyCar career came to an end, and we kind of hadn't heard from him in a while. But whenever he shows up, and it seems to usually be in a Porsche Cayman, Mateus takes the car to the front.
Yeah, and he sits on the pole for the race tomorrow at the fastest time in qualifying session number 2 here today. So they're having a strong weekend, and Matt Travis doing what he always does. Super consistent, super reliable, holding down strong track position to turn it over to his teammate.
Speaking of Caymans, here is the RS1 car with Spencer Pumpelly starting to build a lead. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and by quite a margin over Kevin Boehm, who's doing his best to keep tabs on Spencer Pumpelly. Justin Workman, third fastest time. Sam Craven, not one of the pros in the Pro-Am class, but has the 4th best time of anybody in this race so far. And Sam's really come a long way in the last couple of years. He's really driving at a high level right now.
Yeah, and I spoke to this man who's just putting on his balaclava there, Kenton Cook, about Sam Craven. I said, are you surprised? He said, no, he's really quick. It's just I hadn't been paying attention despite their performances last year, exactly how quick he was compared to the pros.
Won that title with Josh Green last year in the Pro-Am class. New co-driver, like you alluded to, Kenton Cook this year. Won the last 2 races, including overall at the Lone Star Enduro, thanks in part to some of the chaos there in the final 10 minutes amongst the silver class front runners. This car was involved in that, Kevin Boehm.
Yeah, Kenton really pulled a rabbit out of his hat that day. At one point, it looked like he was buried, was not going to even be on the podium, and suddenly he wins. But that's what Kenton Cook does. Just manages to get the absolute maximum out of every single weekend, it seems.
Remarkable what he's been able to accomplish over the last couple of years. GT4, GT3, IMSA, SRO, doesn't matter. When he's in the car, he seems to win.
Nearly won 3 titles last year.
I know.
It's really close.
Lots of races, lots of podiums. And great 2025 for Kenton. Now, this fight here, Patton and Craven, this is really good. Alan Patton, too, and we were singing the praises of Sam Craven. Patton, since he's showed up, you cannot discount the pace we have seen from him from the very first day. And now he's got the tutelage of Mark Miller kind of helping him along, shepherding him along. Seems like he's in a good spot to take the next step. This is on the screen there, bottom right. The rules you need to know: 60-minute race. The max stint length is 35 minutes. No refueling in the one mandatory pit stop. The window, 5 minutes either side of the halfway mark. And you must spend at least 84 seconds in the pits.
Yeah, that window opens at 36 minutes and 24 seconds. If you add the 35 with the 84 seconds there, that means you can come on pit lane, do the minimum stop time, and the race time stops at the 1 hour mark. So that's when you could start to see some dominoes fall, particularly with the Pro-Am entries. You're going to get the Am driver out, get the Pro in as soon as possible.
Yeah, looking at that right now, that window should effectively open in the next couple of laps. Who do you have your eyes on that might make that quick trip to the pit lane?
Well, I think certainly Pat and Craven. You think you want to maximize Kenton Cook's time behind a race car wheel, right? So Matt Travis, I think Lace been on fire in terms of his speed here this weekend. So Travis sits there third in Pro-Am, 9th overall. I think he'll be one of the first to hit pit lane.
Pompelli's lead now up over 2 seconds. Kevin Bohm still second, Weston Workman third. This has been captivating, though. At times, it's looked like Alan Patton's been vulnerable. Other times, it looks like he's starting to edge ahead. Ooh, that was interesting. Craven looked to the inside, and Patton with a little furtive move to driver's left, perhaps trying to cover off that line of attack. Back in, starting to slide around a little on that Mercedes, too. Remember, no tire changes, so any damage or wear he's putting on these Pirellis, then Mark Miller's going to have to deal with that in his stint.
Yeah, I think with these extreme temperatures, you may see some pressure adjustments. You can see him still dancing that car on the brakes on the nose there, down in that turn 7 brake zone. So you may see some tire pressure adjustments here, because I'm sure they're going to be peaking, and you want to get those back into the zone there for driver number 2. But yeah, I think Patton's kind of driving in his mirrors a little bit. I mean, obviously he wants to maintain that track position, but I think a couple of the corners here, particularly turn 1, he's compromising his line a little bit. And he's just trying to hang on to this lead in Pro-Am. He'd love to turn over his teammate, Mark Miller, in the lead. And as Mark Miller said, we just need a clean race. Stay out of the drama, stay out of crash race cars, and we've got a shot at this thing.
Remarkably, that 3-hour race at COTA, that's their best result on the season, and they didn't even get to the finish. That's how bad of a year it's been through 3 races, 13th, 12th, and 9th. To make that 3 poles now for Patton. So the pace has been there. And you have to say, both of the incidents that caused DNFs were not of their making. First one back, lap 1 at Sonoma, the season opener, and then the incident late in the going where Mark Miller had nowhere to go at COTA.
On board here with James Walker Jr., who won at COTA with James Clay. Both those drivers following up on victories the previous year, so COTA's been a happy hunting ground with the big double-point weekend. Certainly sets up them nicely for the championship. He sits second in AM right now. He's got lead between he and Garcia, who leads in AM. A couple of cars further down the road, as you can see the BMW up ahead going through turn 17 under the bridge. Oh, spin there! That was Travis, I believe.
I wonder if that was trying to get to the pit lane as the window has opened, and maybe a miscommunication.
Yeah, wonder if he slowed to get to pit lane and someone didn't realize he was coming and just tagged him.
Or if someone slowed unexpectedly in front of him and he lost it. Anyway, whatever the case, he makes the call to come to the pits here, but that will cost them time, certainly, as we see the driver exchange is underway, just entering that window that you talked about earlier, Cal.
Yeah, 36 minutes, 24. You can do your 84-second stop and not have more than 35 minutes left on the board to get to the finish. Take a look at this and see how this one evolved.
It's the leader in AM that's right behind it. It was contact. Oof.
Yeah, I think that's so important for the teams to acknowledge to the drivers who are staying out. Listen, drivers are going to be hitting pit lane. Be careful when you come through 17. That's just that extra level of communication that can really keep you out of trouble. You got to wonder if Garcia is going to get a penalty for that.
It is under review. There's another incident also under review. The 73 of Eric Hoffman and the 30 of Tyler Stone. They were fighting right around just inside the top 20, I guess it would be overall at the time of that incident, whatever it was. Drivers making their way out of the pit lane now. First and hopefully only pit stops complete. You have to believe that the NOLA Sport team, with that spin they were tipped into, they're probably the big losers in this. Certainly lost a lot of time.
Looking at the pit times, a lot of 124, so it's 84 seconds right on the number. Teams kind of tend to get this dialed in as we get deeper into the season, iron out some of the wrinkles. Pumpelly, pit lane. That's the confidence he's got in his teammate Luca Mars, who's coming off another GT4 victory last weekend on the West Coast, so he's on a bit of a roll at the moment.
He is. He's driving at an extremely high level. This covers you as well from any potential full course yellows in the pit window, but to your point, you can only do this if you don't think you're going to lose time with the driver that you're putting in, and they do feel like Luca is driving at a point right now and at a level right now where he can match the best in this series lap for lap.
And I think they had very similar times in their two respective qualifying sessions, so it's a very evenly matched driver lineup. Spencer's already said this kid is unbelievably good. He's been under the tutelage of guys like Jan Halen in recent seasons, so he's learned a lot from some of the best in the business like Halen and Pumpelly.
Lucas mentioned that to me, that he's just been trying to soak up all the knowledge from his more experienced teammates he's had over the past couple of seasons in various championships. Look here at the leader coming through. That's Kevin. Actually, that's not the leader. I'm sorry. It's the leader of those that have pitted, Josh Green. Still coming down the Ullman straight. Here he is into turn 17. So it looks like still well behind the front runners when they pitted. And all but 3 cars now, it appears, have come to the pit lane for their service.
I think everyone looks good in terms of their time on pit lane of 84 seconds minimum. I don't see anyone underneath that.
Interesting that Auto Technic is rolling the dice, keeping Kevin in the car. Here comes Green. See where he slots in. That's the car that Bruno Colombo started. So they were among the first to come to the pit lane inside that window, and now Green able to get out ahead of Mark Miller, who's fresh out of the pit lane. But again, remember, no tire changes, so there's already temperature in these Pirellis, and now it's just about Mark getting into his rhythm.
Yeah, it's just the undercut, just the other driver in his rhythm, and maybe just a few degrees more tire temperature when it gets time for that first brake zone. Certainly from Mark Miller's perspective, you don't want to make a mistake and overshoot the corner, but that's the sort of pressure you put on when someone's done the undercut on you.
It does look like, though, that undercut did work. The Dome car now is behind the 2 Random Vandals BMWs, most notably the one that's out in front that Sam Craven had been driving and was challenging Alan Patton with in that opening stint. It's now Kenton Cook who's going to try and scamper off into the distance. And how about this? He has his teammate to play rear gunner for him.
Yeah, it's perfect. I'm also curious to see with the overcut for Kevin Bohm. He stayed out there and he's going to, have relatively clear laps in the zone if he just got the hammer down, and how that will play out in terms of the 51 versus the 28 machine of Luca Mars.
Should add one other car to the list of those that still needs to pit, although that has now changed. Ross Poole, I was going to say, had not pitted yet, but is in the pit lane now. That is a car that has cycled up to second in the AM class.
We talked about when the window opens, but it basically closes with you got to have at least 25 minutes on the board by the time you get to pit lane. So it's another 2 or 3 laps here potentially if you want to stretch it, but you're rolling the dice, what we call the danger zone. Should there be a full course yellow and a safety car goes out, they'll grab you, pit lane will be closed, and you can lose all of the advantage you have. But right now up front, Kevin Bohm trying to get the hammer down and just try and maximize these laps. These will be like qualifying laps for Kevin Bohm to see if he can get this car by the time they get through pit lane a little bit closer, or maybe leapfrog the 28 machine.
Kevin will turn this car over to Francis Seldorf at the pit stop. 2 of them combined to finish second in both of the races at Sonoma. Looked like maybe a win was on the cards. They certainly were first on the road in their class before the penalty was handed down post-race at Circuit of the Americas. That was for contact with Spencer Pumpelly.
This is going to be a key indicator here. Kevin Bone just did a 2:12.6. Let's see if he stays out, if he likes to do another one. Risk it even further. What does he do? Now he's to pit lane. So I'm going to be really curious to see what Luca Ma's outlap is and how it compares with that 2:12.6. If he loses a second or two, it's going to make it awfully close between these two cars when Boehm's car finally comes out with Francis Seldorf behind the wheel.
Tough luck for the car that had been the leader in the AM class. It is a drive-through penalty for the contact. That was Garcia into Matt Travis coming into the pit lane. One more look at it. Certainly nothing malicious, just a miscommunication.
Yeah, but you got to anticipate it. The team's got to tell you, listen, as the pit window is open, drivers are going to be peeling off, so be careful. I mean, hindsight's easy, right? We're sitting here, I was like, well, the team should tell him or he should know, but you're in the heat of the battle. You're just looking to try and set up a car and try and make a pass down into turn one if you're not coming in.
All right, this is the thing we need to watch here. Right now, Luca Mars is coming out of turn 16 down the Ullman Straight. You can see that on the graphic. This is the car he is chasing. Will it be the undercut of RS1 or the overcut of Autotechnic? The clear air and the pace of Kevin Boehm out of traffic, was that enough to help leapfrog this Porsche? We're about to find out.
Yeah, well, it was a 2:12.6, the in-lap for Kevin Boehm. Let's see what Luca Ma's outlap, or his first flying lap, let's put it that way, how that compares, and that may tell the story when he flashes across the line here. 12.8, so almost the same, just a couple of tenths. Going to be awfully tight here. Mars is going to send it through turn one. Francis Seldorf up on the wheel, but not going to be close enough. So closely matched there between staying out that extra lap and Luca Mars getting up to speed really quickly, and that was critical. Laces got spun around, ironically, in the same corner that his teammate had issues in.
That is uncanny, and it's unsighted as well. Not a great place to be parked, but Mateus thankfully able to continue on. You have to wonder what happened there, though.
That was early in the corner in a weird spot, unless you got contact and turned as well.
Good weekend starting to come unraveled slightly for NOLA Sport. They settle back in right in the middle of this pack. It's Eric Filgaris just behind, who's going to take a run at Mateus Laced in just a moment. Let's look and see if we can tell what happened here. There was a battle just up ahead. Oh, more contact. That was the Becumby McAleer Racing Mustang that got into the quarter panel of Laced.
I think it's Holtzman.
Yep.
Just taking over the reins there.
Oh, and a helpless feeling there too, sitting unsighted around that corner with cars coming with a lot of speed.
As you said, solid day has suddenly got unraveled here a little bit. Travis had done an amazing job to hold on to that P3 there through the opening stint. Gets turns, he's coming to pit lane. His teammate, who was fastest in the second qualifying session, he gets turned. So they need a compression of the field. They need a yellow to really be fighting for the top spots.
Yep, they do. We've got a couple penalties being served. There was a speeding penalty for either Lawrence or Freddie Tomlinson. Not sure who.
We know it's the Tomlinson.
Yeah, we can thank them for that, but not sure if it was coming in or going out. But anyway, a pit lane speed violation, stop and go penalty. That's now been served. Got another incident, or rather pit stop under review. That's the Frankie Muniz Tyler Stone car that came in just 8 points out of the championship lead in AM on the strength of a second place and 2 fourth place finishes. And that usually has to do with the time spent in the pit lane. Well, we've talked about the difficulties for NOLA Sport, and Amanda can get some of the details from Matt Travis now.
Yeah, we've been with Matt Travis to talk about the trickiness of pit in and pit out here at Sebring, when I feel like the Porsche is a bit of a target for bumper cars here today. Matt, you look at your stint. We talked about how it almost feels like it was an effort thrown away. What can happen now?
Well, hopefully we just bring it home in one piece. I don't know what's going on today, but that's 2 hits from behind. So I don't know what people are doing, but they need to get their act together. It sucks.
Understandably frustrated. That's a car that had been in podium contention. Here it is, now shown down in 8th place in class, and Mateus is going to have to fight to hang on to it. He's got some fast cars in class behind him, including the one directly behind Eric Filgaris in the car that was started by Tom Kopczynski.
The car didn't look good there either. It was really kind of loose there on the entry to turn 3. So he's fighting a car that's not giving him enough grip to focus forward. He's got to be worried about that car's behind him, like you said.
Should also add that with the issues for the brothers Garcia, it's now James Clay leading in the AM class. Side-by-side fight here. This is McAleer doing battle with one of the Rafa Racing cars. It's Kenny Schmid making his season debut. That is not for class position, but for overall positioning, 15th and 16th, and McAleer is through.
Schmid so close to a championship title last year with Gerazzi, so good to see him back with the Rafa Racing team.
And that car debuted at COTA, but it was team owner Rafael Martinez paired up with Anthony Gerazzi. That was the plan all along on this partial schedule, and I believe Kenny is in for the rest of the races. That car will run in 2026.
So McAleer, we talked about the 19 car coming down pit lane and having to change that tire, and they're right back in it. P7 right now for McAleer with a lot of time left on the board.
So too, similar situation for Denny Stripling and Judson Holt. That's the yellow BMW that's right there. And now, because they caught that yellow right as they got their puncture, they're sitting third in class, and the next car ahead is for second.
Yeah, in really great shape. They're a long way back from James Clay, who's taken over from James Walker Jr., who did an outstanding job at the beginning of this race, running in P2 there for a while. And they're looking for their second win on the bounce.
Down to 23 minutes to go. Fight for second and third in the AM class makes its way down the front straight here at Sebring. Schmid has the spot. Stripling trying to take it away. Supra against BMW.
And Stripling was very poised, wasn't he, when Amanda spoke to him about the issue that they had. Just, yeah, we popped a tire, we're just going to regroup here, and under yellow, we're going to be good to go. And they've just focused forward here, despite problems for the championship leaders.
Penalty, by the way, is issued to Jensen Altsman for that contact that we saw down in 17, as anticipated. Tough one for the McCumbee McAleer team. They were having a pretty good day, shown fourth in Pro-Am in their Mustang.
Yeah, just one of those moments in a race. You see the door open, you put the car down there, and then suddenly it starts to close, and you've got nowhere to go with it. It's unfortunate there for Jensen to end up in that predicament, copping the penalty.
He was fifth here in an IMSA GT4 race 1 year ago. Knows the track well.
His 12-hour debut this year as well.
Yes, that's right. Back to the two Random Vandals teammates that have been nose to tail much of this race. Right now, Kitten Cook chasing Josh Green. Josh, I think, in many ways, looking to replicate the success and career trajectory of Kitten Cook. And a big future ahead of Josh for sure.
Yeah, Paul Sparta, the Random Vandals owner, just really believes in Josh Green. He's got some great talent that he's seen, and he said this kid is for real. And he's certainly delivering here, but he's got kind of one of the Random Vandals mentors right on his tail right now. So, I mean, Kendon's going to be just looking at that gap back to Mark Miller, just deciding, do I need to force this? Do I need to get around Josh and create a little bit of a buffer back to Miller?
Freddie Tomlinson letting this battle for fourth overall play through. That's the LAP Motorsports Mustang. And Calvin, this program for Freddie and Lawrence came together at the 11th hour. So late, in fact, team owner Louis Pericarpi told me it was basically during the pilot or the IMSA GT4 race last weekend at Laguna Seca. He got the message and said, hey, can you do it? And he looked at his calendar, and the calendar said that it was going to be in a couple of weeks. He said, sure, why not? Turns out the calendar was wrong. He had the entry in there wrong, but now was committed to make this happen. So all credit to the team. They had to hustle back to their base in Indy, scrap to get the IMSA car out of the trailer, put the SRO car in the trailer, and then Bear, the team truckie, had 18 hours to get here in time from Indianapolis for load-in, and they made it basically right on the nose.
That's an awesome story. Pretty cool. I love the fact that they stayed committed. You think, oh, I didn't realize. Sorry. I'll take that back. I'm not coming. And then let's take another look at this, where Altsman got down to the inside there on Lace. and just turns him. So might have been the fact that, not sure if the McCumbee car was in a lap earlier, so also maybe had a little bit more tire temperature and momentum there with Lace on his out lap. Could have been the dynamic that occurred there.
Quick reaction too from Michael Cooper. I think that was the McLaren that was right behind and had to take evasive action out to the outside, which is not a part of the racetrack you typically find yourself in. So Michael had to scramble a little bit and kept the car's nose clean. Finds himself now 9th overall, 3rd in class for the Black Dog team.
Yeah, big good rebound for them. Had the disappointment at Coda where Tony Gables on his way out of pit lane got wrapped up in some other cars that were on track up in turn 1, damaged the race car. So really hit them big in the points, but they're determined to come back here this weekend.
Just under 20 minutes left in the first of 2 1-hour sprints this weekend at Sebring, into the heat and haze here in the evening. That was 4th and 5th overall we were looking at. This is a little bit further back. Big lunge there. The Stephen McAleer on the comeback drive, trying to make his way through. Gets by the Supra, now challenging with the other BMW.
Yeah, this is for position in Pro-Am, so this is a battle for 5th position right now. Actually, it's for 4th position. They've both got around Eversley on this lap. You see Ryan trying to come back at them.
That Supra started by Carl Foreman. It's now Eversley behind the wheel, trying to keep pace with the 2 BMWs. Easier said than done. McAleer now with his target acquired. Tyler McQuarrie, position 12 overall, but 4th in class.
What Ryan can do here, he obviously got passed by those 2 BMWs. When you're looking at timing and scoring, he was ahead and suddenly he was behind them as they went down the front straightaway. So I'm not sure if they made a move on the Ullman straight there to get those 2 BMWs by, see if Ryan can respond here and get back with them.
He'll do everything he can, no doubt about that. Looks like, though, the 2 BMWs have the legs at the moment on the Supra. His best to keep pace, though, out of the hairpin there. Here they come. McQuarrie, new teammate this year, and Michael Petramalo. Had some highs and some lows through the first 3 races of the season. A podium on debut in the big crash in race 2 at Sonoma, and a solid 5th in the 3-hour Enduro 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great year for those 2 boys, as Tyler's just such a great benchmark to have and just got so much experience, so much speed, just kind of shaking things up there a little bit with Bimmer World, with Charlie Poston's retiring and creating that spot there for James Walker to slide in alongside James Clay, the owner of Bimmer World. And Tyler McQuarrie getting that new teammate who's done a nice job on his first season with that group.
This could be another big day for James Clay, right now leading in the AM class, trying to build on that double points win at Coda the last time out. The battle for 2nd and 3rd in AM continues to be good. It's happening in the background, and there's some company now joining into the mix. We've got a Porsche of Paul Bocuse making his series debut, coming to the inside of Stripling, and trying to follow him through is Matthias Lace. Boy, that is close, and this has been their horror corner all race long.
I was about to say the same thing. Don't tell me another incident in turn 17 for the Nola Sport Porsche.
He probably was thinking the same thing. By the way, just behind this group, we got a penalty incoming for the 413. That's Chris Wilson now driving. Zach Lumsden started that car. That was a pit stop infraction. It will be a 5-second time penalty post-race added to their total time. Looks like Lace did lose out in that interaction. Filgaris was able to jump him.
Yeah, I'm not sure with these couple of bumps that they've had, whether, I mean, the one with Travers was right in the rear bump, but that shouldn't really affect the handling of the car. But I'm not sure on the Lace one whether it's just got the suspension a little askew, because he seems to be struggling for pace here, which I did not anticipate.
Paul Bocuse not struggling for pace. Young Floridian making, as I said, his debut in Pirelli GT4 America. Right now a Carrera Cup North America competitor. Won a championship in a Cayman a handful of years ago in Porsche Sprint Challenge North America. Stepped up to the 911 Cup cars over the last few seasons. First in Sprint Challenge and then to Carrera Cup, but got this opportunity to fill in for Jack Perriott here this weekend. Car started by Erica Hoffman, and you know it's going to be well prepared because it's a Kelly Moss car. Problems here for Ryan Eversley, car off track.
sure if he just pulled it off to do a reset, got some kind of technical issue, or whether he's forced off. This is an unusual spot to be forced off. I think he's just looking for a safe haven or doing a Control-Alt-Delete here.
That's the second time the lights have flickered on and off. Back on again, now a third.
Could we say he's cooking right now?
That would be very apropos, Calvin. Well done. His grandfather, of the same name, is known in some circles as the Pope of Gastronomy. He's a world-renowned chef, and the Bocuse d'Or is the highest award you can win for being a chef, and it's named for his grandfather, also Paul. And as I'm sure you're well aware, Calvin, the creator of the Nouvelle Cuisine. You can tell me all about that after the show, I'm sure.
You're quite the cook. I've never been invited around Indy weekend, but maybe one of these days.
Perhaps so.
Tony Gaples, nice stint there. Turned it over to Michael Cooper, sitting P3. Another strong podium position, potentially.
And that car is rapid right now with Michael Cooper behind the wheel. Michael had a good run here at Sebring a couple of months ago.
A bit too far back, though, to be thinking about a podium unless there's a compression with a yellow, because he's 13 seconds back of Miller. 16 seconds back of Kenton, who leads in class. So we'll take the points and move forward. I think Michael had a nice qualifying run here this afternoon, so they'll be at the sharp end to start the race tomorrow. See if he can move forward and turn it over to Tony to try and bring it home for another solid points day.
They need one because they're 9th in points, 57 back coming into the weekend. They had some kind of a mechanical issue, if memory serves, in race 1 at Sonoma. Bounced back to get a second in race 2, and then contact leaving the pit lane at Circuit of the Americas, not of their making, caused them to fail to finish that race. Did not score any points, just 11th. So finishes of 12th, 2nd, and 11th through the first 3 races. Not the way they drew it up.
Finished off the season on a high, won at Indy, right, as I recall?
Swept the weekend
yeah.
At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They came in, unfortunately, with too big of a hole to climb out of. Despite the fact they won both of those races, ended up missing out on the championship by just 12 points. But a few too many weekends, like the ones we've described to start 2026 as well, cost them a chance of capitalizing on the strong finish.
Luca Mars is pushing hard. You saw a little twitch there. I think he got into the ABS there on the entry to Turn 3, lost the front end momentarily, but he's built about a 3.3 second gap right now with Francis Seldorf. Doesn't seem like Gonzalez has got anything to chase down Seldorf either. So Porsches and BMWs have been super strong. Yes, the Supras has looked strong on 1 lap pace, but it seems in race trim that the other 2 brands have come to the forefront a little bit. But I think everyone felt BMWs in this heat would be the brand to beat. They seem to excel in these type of conditions, but RS1 once again had delivered Pompelli and Mars an awesome race car to go lead with.
As you would expect, a team that's based in Florida, know the track well, had tons of success here, especially in GT4 over the years. We've seen them run well in GT3 last year. Jan Halen had a couple of podium finishes with his co-driver in GT World Challenge. America's had the fastest lap in one of those races. We'll see Jan and JP Martinez for RS1 on Saturday evening. Schedule your viewing appropriately. Not a Sunday race this weekend for GT World Challenge, but a Saturday one, in part to contend with the extreme heat and humidity here in Central Florida. Meanwhile, the comeback drive continues for Stephen McAleer, knifing his way up through the field, and following him through as best he can is Tyler McQuarrie, although that is a change of position. So McAleer is now ahead of McQuarrie.
He is, and that was a pass around James Clay, who continues to lead in the AM class. He'll just try and hang on to these 2 BMW and see the gap behind. Got a significant margin there.
Frankie Muniz had to serve a penalty, I think, for some kind of a pit lane miscue. But here is Frankie, and there could be something amiss with that car. A lot of smoke. They've missed a lot of time this weekend, Calvin, with some mechanical gremlins. And that does not look promising
No, they had a throwout bearing go bad on them yesterday. They were actually wondering if they're going to be able to get up. They had a part, I believe, flown down from Canada last evening.
Yeah.
There's not another spare in the paddock, so been a lot of work for that team to get the car ready for qualifying. And now he's obviously got some kind of overheating issue on the drive line. Moves offline there, so I think he recognizes he's got a big issue as the team are having consultation about what to do.
Got a report from Amanda, clutch is slipping. And as you said, I think it was a clutch issue that had been plaguing them already.
Yeah, throwout bearing is basically a piece, a bearing that works against the pressure plate on the clutch, and if that sticks, it can basically be like you got your foot on the clutch halfway when you try to drive the race car.
Eric Filgaris coming under some pressure now. Or actually, I take that back, has just gotten around Paul Bocuse, hasn't he? That is for 15th. So red, white, and blue Porsche ahead of black and gold Porsche. Paul just wrapped up his senior year of high school. Boy, that sentence has a way of making someone feel old. And he's already in what I think is 3rd or 4th year of racing Porsches. Had a great karting career too, mostly here in Florida.
McLaren's going to be going up against it here, both based in the Chicago area, which is quite ironic.
That's a good point. So Advanced Motorsports, that's the car 8th overall. And it's newcomer Jonathan Malley driving that car. And Michael Cooper, who, if you've been watching this series for any period of time, needs no introduction, former champion, is closing in. Not for class position, it should be noted. Cooper dives to the inside and Malley sees him coming.
Yeah. Malley's done a nice job, though. His last laps, he drops a couple of wheels there as Cooper slides it through. It was only about 6/10 off Michael Cooper. So, to your point, Ryan, Cooper's got quite some resume to his name. And for Malley to be within a few tenths in a similar race car is a really nice performance.
Amazingly, Michael's last championship was back in 2020. Won what was then the GT4 America Sprint Pro Championship. Been close a couple of times since. Bunch of long faces there in the Tech Sport pits, though. Looks like that is day done prematurely with 7 minutes, 45 seconds still to go.
See what Malley can learn here following Michael Cooper aboard one of these similar McLaren Arturas. Michael just has so much confidence. Yeah, he just has so much self-belief. I love the confidence that he has in terms of his approach to racing. He just believes, like, give me the race car, I'm going to get the job done. And he's typically right. I mean, just so many great wins and multiple championships over the years.
Had a couple of podiums here last year. This program, a 3rd and a 2nd. Michael had the fastest race lap in class in both races. So this has been a really good place for team, car, and driver. Tony Gaples did his part, kept the car in contention. Now turns it over to one of the fastest guys in the paddock. That is a long-standing partnership as well. That goes back a number of years, different makes and models, but it's been fruitful, no question about it.
Yeah, they developed a great friendship and a great chemistry, and I think Tony obviously believes in Michael being able to be the finisher, and he certainly learned a lot over the years in terms of what it takes to compete at this level, all of the discipline that it takes both on and off the racetrack to be a championship contending driver. So Tony's got a ton of experience, but you never stop learning in this game.
Battle hotting up here. This is Chris Wilson trying to run down Kenny Schmid, but remember, Wilson is carrying a 5-second post-race time penalty, so he needs to get this move made and quickly, and then try and pull the 5-second gap over the Supra. So Supra is Schmid, Wilson in the BMW with what we have to believe is a slightly wounded Porsche Matthias Laced right behind after a couple of spins, not of their making, right around the midway point of this race. Here comes Wilson now, closing in.
Yeah, I saw Chris a couple of hours ago, and he's very disappointed with his qualifying run. He said, I don't understand. We had new tires in practice and new tires in qualifying, of course. And he said, I went slower on low fuel. So I said, well, the track heated up. He said, yeah, that's no excuse. Everyone else went quicker. So he was kind of scratching his head. But, you know, even though he had a solid qualifying performance, he wanted more.
I think we got a problem here potentially for Tyler Gonzalez. He's been giving up time quite rapidly to Josh Green, and now Green is alongside. Gonzalez will try and fight back. He has the preferred line down into the hairpin and does fend off the challenge for now.
Yeah, he was dancing that car on the nose there. Gonzalez just trying to hang on here. Championship leaders, but it is getting awfully tight.
Yeah, that it is. Again, maybe, oh, is that some smoke possibly out of the Supra? Not sure if that was brake smoke or something a bit more malign. Nevertheless, Gonzalez does seem to be laboring, while Green, by contrast, seemingly can put that BMW wherever he wants it.
Yeah, whether he hangs on this podium position or not, he's probably going to lose the championship lead tonight with Luca Mars leading. He and Pampelli came into this weekend just 3 points back. Be a significant delta in points here today as you see action side by side off of turn 7.
And this is Wilson now putting that move on Schmid, trying to get alongside into the bright sunshine in Florida. BMW to the inside, Supra to the outside. Mateus Leist will try to follow through. That's a Pro-Am car mixing it up with the front runners in the M class. Second place does change hands, but Wilson again needs to go because he has a 5-second post-race penalty that he has to overcome and only 3 minutes 50 seconds with which to do it.
Yeah, he's got to really get the hammer down. I think it's going to be tough for him to gap Schmid by that amount. I think he's probably thinking, can I gap Stripling so I can at least hang on to a podium spot here?
Gonzalez fighting to hang on to this position. Here comes Green, poking the nose to the inside. Gonzalez sweeps across the bow. That's enough to maintain the position for the moment.
Two young guns going at it with Kenton Cook just sitting there in the backdrop, letting his young teammate go after it. Fighting for grip there through Christensen corner. Named after the legend Tom Christensen. So many victories here at the Sebring 12 Hour.
Final step of the podium in silver up for grabs. Gonzalez in the Supra, Green in the BMW. Kenton Cook is behind, but remember, he's the teammate to Josh Green, so you wouldn't think he would interfere with this battle if it could be prevented. Plus, he's already leading in the Pro-Am class and pulling away from Mark Miller, who sits second. So no incentive here for Kenton Cook in the orange and blue car to start mixing it up.
Yeah, but he doesn't want too much argy-bargy with those two cars in front of him. You see Miller there is closing in on this pack a little bit, so Kenton Cook's probably a little bit nervous. He's got time on his side in terms of there's not much left in this motor race to deal with, but he's not going to like that multicolored Dome Racing Mercedes getting closer to him in the final stages of this race.
Again, intermittent puffs of smoke from that Supra. That also is troubling. Only has to make it work. Another 2 minutes and change, though. Should see the white flag next time by. That's the word we're getting from race control. Luca Mars now by 4.9 seconds over Francis Seldorf. Here comes Green now, once again closing in. This could be the place he can make his move. Gonzalez up and over those curbs trying to extend the radius, keep the speed up through turn 16. He knows he might be vulnerable here.
Yeah, I mean, he really opens it up there, and I think Josh thought about it, but wasn't quite close enough to make it stick, and it could only end up in contact, so he thinks wisely and just backs out of that situation. Kenton just letting these guys go as the white flag flies for our leader.
Luca Mars used the undercut to great effect, hanging on to the lead after the round of pit stops, and then has pulled away from the competition. Seldorf falling away, 4.7 seconds in arrears. Then to this battle, Gonzalez, Green, Kenton Cook, the interested spectator, leading in Pro-Am, watching as his teammate squabbles here for the final step of the podium with Tyler Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's certainly got a first-class seat for this entertainment in front of him, but what is Josh Green going to do? Looks to the inside. Gonzalez is deep. Maybe got a little bit too deep, maybe got into the ABS, front end washes out, he collects it back up, almost parks it there in turn 5. This is going to allow Miller really close to Kenton Cook. This is not great news for Kenton Cook. As we said, those two squabblers just going to close that gap to second place in the leader.
That changes the calculus for Kenton Cook. Before, he was content to sit and watch his teammate do his thing. Wow, that was a late move to cover the inside
he's all
lunge.
over the rear bumper here.
And there is contact, nose to tail. The Supra goes wide. Here comes the move to the inside. Josh Green trying to take the lead. Kenton Cook trying to follow him through.
Watch Mark Miller here. He's going to try and take advantage of this situation. Can he make this stick and suddenly find a way by Kenton Cook?
Green with a little bump and run down in the hairpin. Gonzalez trying to fight back, but he has to get through the teammate Kenton Cook first. Mark Miller has to get around Gonzalez to try to get to the leader in his class. That is Cook. We're second car in line here, but Green is starting to get away.
Green was all over the bumper of Gonzalez there. I wonder if he just forced him a little bit deeper into that brake zone. He couldn't control the speed there, and that's what forced him wide.
Final lap of the race. First of a doubleheader weekend. Miller's got to go if he's going to have any chance of threatening Kenton Cook. Takes the lunge to the inside. Gonzalez sees him coming. Does not put up too much of a fight, knowing that his class battle has resolved itself. Here's the leader, though. Through Sunset Bend, Luca Mars, Spencer Pumpelly from pole position deliver on home soil for RS1. Porsche reigns supreme in race 1 at Sebring International Raceway. Waiting for second place to cross the line. Francis Seldorf, Kevin Boehm, a strong second place run. Then Josh Green to complete the podium. Meanwhile, Kenton Cook hangs on for another win. He and Sam Craven are racking them up now in the Pro-Am class. Mark Miller finally gets a result for himself and Alan Patton. Well-deserved. A second place finish. They'll get to sip some champagne. Michael Cooper completes the podium in Pro-Am for the Black Dog team.
Awesome job there, teammates. Celebrate there. Craven, what a great job.
It's been a bit of a quiet run for these two, James Clay, James Walker Jr., but they came to the fore when some of the other class frontrunners faltered, and they've been able to hang on. James Clay, James Walker Jr. win in AM here at Sebring. Back-to-back wins after the disaster that was Sonoma. That is huge for them. They're right back in the points battle. Now we look back to who completes the podium, and that time penalty proved crucial. Schmid does end up second.
Stripling third.
What a great recovery after their puncture in the first section of the race.
Yeah, that was really close. I think there was only, Wilson only needed 4 more tenths and he would have grabbed third spot.
Now, incident is under review, and that is the battle for the lead, or excuse me, not for the lead, for third in silver with Green and Gonzalez. It was a bump and run, no question about that. Fair or foul?
I think it's racing. You know, it's you're putting all on the line. I mean, he didn't turn him, just laid the bumper on him a little bit. It was subtle, but it was enough to push Gonzalez wide. And fortunately for Kenton Cook, he didn't get wrapped up in it too much for Miller to take advantage.
That was breathtaking at the end of this race. Great stuff in Pirelli GT4 America. A credit, too, for these drivers braving difficult conditions here today. Temperatures up into the 90s with high humidity. Not an easy day to go racing in Central Florida, but they put on a great show. Big result for Mars and Pumpelly. My math has them now. We're at the championship lead. Let's go back, though, to the incident in question. One more time, Cal. Break this down, the run down to the hairpin.
Well, you can see Gonzalez. He knows he's in trouble here, and suddenly has this big flick here by Josh Green. Gets right on the bumper of Gonzalez, and you're right there. You see the little lockup. Just pushes him wide, tugs underneath. And then his teammate helps him out a little bit by creating that buffer. So it was subtle, but it was definitely a little shove there into that turn 7 brake zone. What do you think, Ryan?
We were wondering about a potential issue, remember, for that Supra. Maybe it was a braking issue. Maybe that could explain why Green was right there. But I think there was just a pace disparity, and that BMW was closing in. And I tend to agree with you. I think last lap of the race, you want your drivers to go for it. But to be clear, that is just us from the peanut gallery, and race control have their own opinions.
Yeah, and you want consistency with these decisions from the steward's room as well.
Provisional results from this first race with a couple of, at least one incident, I should say, that is still to be reviewed, and if we get a ruling on it, we'll be sure to pass it along. But at least across the line, it was Pumpelly and Mars, no question about that. 5.5 seconds over Boehm and Seldorf, Colombo, Green. third place, at least for now. Sam Craven, Kenton Cook, what a season they're putting together. Happy for Alan Patton and Mark Miller. Finally, a result to show for the pace they've had all season long. And then Cooper and Gable, 7th overall, but completing that Pro-Am class podium. Some wind in the sails for Bimmer World with James Walker Jr. and James Clay backing up their endurance win at Circuit of the Americas with a class win here in the more traditional 1-hour race format. And boy, what a big penalty that proved to be for Colorado Motorsports by Flying Lizard. Chris Wilson was second at the line, but that penalty drops him behind Schmid and Gerasi and also Stripling and Holt, who had to overcome a puncture to get a good result. Should also mention Stephen McAleer and Roland Crines overcame a puncture. They drove their way back up to 11th overall and make that 10th overall, 4th in class. That's a really good recovery from what could have been a disappointing day.
Yeah, I think all 3 winners will end up at the top of the championship order tonight. So I think Clay will leapfrog over the 188 machine with that win as well.
Well, we'll do a little tallying up of the points, but while we do that, let's go to victory lane.
Said he wanted to lean a little on the car, so I'm sure it was a bit of exercise out there for Luca Mars. What I love also is that you parked it right here in front of the podium. We were waiting for you over there, so bring it right into victory lane. The duo that you have going on right now to finish this race off. What's possible this season, Luca?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we expected coming into it. We obviously had a little slow start that we weren't happy with since Sonoma. So going to the Dakota, we knew we needed to make changes. We made those necessary changes, and I think we just have really been attacking these last 2 weekends, and it's showing with our speed and our pace. And there's a huge shout out to RS1, Justin, the whole team, Charlie. I mean, they have this car on rails this weekend. Once I got out there, I just had to push a little bit, then I was able to just go on a little cruise there, save the car, make sure I don't do anything that will ruin the race, and then Spencer did a great job just handing it off to me in the lead.
When you talk about handing it off in your stint, there was some action out there going on, but for you guys, straight and true, green to checkered. What statement does this send to your class?
I think it says that we're here to contend for this championship and got a really good co-driver this year, so everybody needs to watch out for Luca. But, great job by RS1. Everyone just put a lot of effort in. Like Lucas said, Sonoma wasn't great. We've gotten better every weekend, and I feel like we're going to peak at the right time here. So huge thanks to all the guys.
Well, unless you want champagne on your Porsche, they might have you move away from here.
All right, good to hear from the RS1 duo, and that's some high praise there from Spencer Pumpelly. Really got to be special to hear that if you're Luca Mars.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. He's got the experience. He wants to pump up his young teammate. He is doing a great job at just keep him at a high level, keep that momentum, and as he say, we're peaking right now.
Yeah, certainly looks that way. I think you could probably say something pretty similar about your winners in Pro-Am, Kenton Cook and Sam Craven. By the way, we have had a ruling on that contact, and it's a penalty, a drive-through converted to post-race time penalty, so that's 44 seconds. That goes the way of Josh Green, and it drops him from the podium to 8th in the silver class, so that effectively has, it's cost them an extreme amount of points. Here's the updated results reflecting that penalty. Your thoughts?
It's massive. Rules are rules, and I think they just have a template in place. If you've got that instant responsibility, it's a drive-through penalty. It really hurts post-race because in the race, about a 25-second delta. If it's served after, you add 5 seconds to that. So it's a massive blow, and it's really nip and tuck, I think, on the decision as well.
Well, we heard from Amanda at the top of the show. Race Control made it clear what their expectations are. Down once more to Amanda.
Well, Kenton, we went over and talked to team boss Paul Sparta of what your role is going to be there at the end. He said Kenton's going to stay out of this one. What movie ticket did you buy to the show in front of you?
It was a good one to watch, that's for sure. I was just cheering Josh on the whole time. It was fun to see, and he was good to see them battle there at the end. And Sam, my co-driver, did a crazy job at the beginning there to put me in contention, and then we just jumped him in the stop. We just had I don't know how close it was, but it must have been close because on my timer it was really close. So we had a great time this weekend, and happy for Josh on that one.
Sam, you're going to love hearing back on the broadcast. A lot of praise headed your way from Ryan and Calvin in the booth. What did you say to me when we were walking to the podium?
Winning never gets old. Yeah, great race today. Kenton drove incredible. I had a lot of fun out there fighting with the guys in our half of the race. This is just wonderful. Team did freaking incredible. Love the Vandals.
Congratulations to your winner there. As we head over to our AM guys, and things are starting to feel normal again. You get Sonoma out of the way, and then the rest of the season opens up. The AM class was crazy today. What was your experience?
It must have been crazy in James Walker's stint, because for me it was just riding around. There was some Pro-Am traffic behind me. I didn't really interact with any cars except for my teammate Tyler, who gave me a little good luck bump. And otherwise it was just a, put my head down and get it done kind of race. But he did the work, so ask him.
How active was your stint, James?
Well, it was a lot of follow the leader once the start sorted itself out. And we found ourselves in a very good place, picked up 2 or 3, I think, right away. And I just put my head down and clicked off laps. Didn't have a whole lot of drama, but we stayed within, a stone's throw of the P1 car, and it's all Clay needed to finish the job. So the crew gave us an incredible car today. The Optima batteries, Redline oil, M336 number. I love this car. I love this team. Thank you. Just thank you.
75 points in 2 races, not bad.
Yeah, and it has them, by my math, as the championship leaders by 4 points with that win. So you think about it, 2 races, 3 races, normal races worth of points in terms of wins. So remarkable run that group is on. Now some cool moments on the grid before it heated up for real when the racing started here at Sebring International Raceway. And it was a wild run down into turn 1, as it always is at this world-renowned racetrack. Spencer Papelli got the start, took the lead early. Problems, though, for one of the Rafa Supras. That brought out the full course yellow on the ensuing restart. Papelli again managed it beautifully, fending off the challenge from Kevin Bohm in the BMW. Misfortune, though, for one of the front runners in Pro-Am. This was Matt Travis, tipped around, and unfortunately that would not be the last time that the 47 would be pointed the wrong direction in turn 17. Huge moment here, though, in the overall battle, as it was RS1 with the undercut, just able to eke out the advantage on the pit stop shuffles and other contact, and that's the second spin for Nola Sport. That was poor Mateus Laced, who got tipped around, penalty issued to the Mustang for that one. Laced did his best to fight his way back up, but ultimately had to settle for 7th in class. Great recovery drive from Roland Crines and Stephen McAleer after an early puncture. Mechanical issues into the day early for Frankie Muniz. Had to climb out of his Tech Sport car, and they'll have to regroup ahead of race number 2 tomorrow. Some hip and shoulder further back in the pack. This was for 2nd on the road in the AM class. Chris Wilson got the spot, had to give it back with a post-race time penalty. That contact there led to a drive-through equivalent post-race, cost a podium for Josh Green. But at the front, well ahead of all the drama, RS1 got to victory lane once again. Luca Mars and Spencer Papelli, while Kenton Cook and Sam Craven won in Pro-Am, and James Clay, James Walker Jr., the winners in the AM class. Let's take a look at how the points shake out after a dramatic race number 1. It's now Mars and Papelli by 7 over Gonzalez and Workman, who get that 3rd place back after the penalty was handed down to the Vandals. Seldorf and Bohm distant, but still very much in the mix there in the 3rd place. Others further down the order that looking to put a disappointing start to the season behind them or are running partial schedules. That was silver. Here in Pro-Am, Cook and Craven now 100 points to their name. Laced and Travis trying to keep with them, but dropping down the order. And then Demir Hutt, Ryan Yardley, they did not get to the checkered flag today. That cost them dearly.
Yeah, big time. So just a great day for Kenton Cook, Sam Craven. They're on a roll right now. They're going to be awfully tough for that championship. And I thought that Laced and Travis, they had a really strong race car. I think without the 2 bumps, that could have been a different story out there today.
Meanwhile, in the AM class, the victory for James Clay and James Walker Jr. has them on top of the standings by 4 tallies. All things considered, Denny Stripling and Judson Holt did well to try to limit the damage. Having had the puncture early in the going. Chris Wilson, Zach Lumsden still putting together a good season, all things considered, in just the 2nd season racing at this level for Zach.
Yeah, just missed out on that podium. As I say, just another 3 or 4 tenths, and Wilson would have grabbed that final podium position despite the 5-second post-race time penalty. Here's another look at the action here late in the going. Josh Green, you can see him just leaning on. You see the smoke coming out of those front wheels from Gonzalez, pushes him wide, and his teammate creates the perfect buffer here to complete the pass, but would not stick after the post-race penalty.
Race Control sending a message with the penalty. We'll do it again tomorrow. Race 2, 12:45 local time here at Sebring.